Dr. Grossman is our abortionist, and he has murdered thousands of children. It's estimated over 400 a year here in Durango. And you are here to represent the lives of those children, that they are not forgotten, that we love those children, that we could have offered them homes, we could have offered them mothers help, and that this didn't have to happen. This is a man who murders in the name of population control, and we don't see it that way. Children are a gift. They're not disposable. So I want to thank you all for being here today. And before we introduce our speakers, we have a letter that was given to us when the news was heard that we were doing a protest here. This is a girl who, she herself could have been murdered by Dr. Grossman, but her mother chose life. And many years later, she was faced with the same situation, an unplanned pregnancy. And that is another child that could have been murdered at his hands. And before we begin, I introduced our guest speakers. We're going to read that letter to kind of give you an idea of the severity of the taking of human life.
Many years ago, my birth mother became pregnant, and she was advised by a doctor in Durango that he could take care of it. Now, for one moment, try to understand the sheer lack of respect for human life this man just displayed. She was not asked what she wanted to do. She was not offered any real help. She was not told that she had options. She was not told that her baby's heart was already beating. She was not put in contact with local families who were anxious to adopt. She was not referred to the local crisis pregnancy center. Apparently, the first reaction, and the only way this man knew how to comfort and help women facing crisis pregnancy, was to simply offer to kill their baby for them. I was that baby, and Richard Grossman was the doctor. Should this come as a surprise to me when, according to his monthly column, he feels that for each child he brutally kills, he is saving the planet from CO2 emissions? Many years later, I too experienced an unplanned pregnancy. What all my friends at the time were advising me to do was what they had done: go to Durango to take care of it. Today, almost all of these girls regret their abortions, especially when they look at the beautiful boy that I brought into this world, who was adopted into a loving family who could not have children of their own. To this very day, I'm still very involved in my son's life, and I feel only joy in knowing that I was the answer to this young couple's prayers. I chose life, and had I not, Dr. Grossman would have murdered my son. The gift of life that my birth mother gave me has resulted in 2 generations of blessings. 2 generations that could have been murdered at the hands of Dr. Grossman. As a Catholic woman, I am here today in support of this protest and to speak out on behalf of the thousands of children that Dr. Grossman has murdered over the years in the name of population control. You have destroyed generations of families, and I pray for your conversion to one day appreciate the infinite value of all human life. Thank you.
Our next speaker is a co-founder of Personhood USA, Keith Mason, and he's a good friend of mine, and he's leading the campaigns from state to state to establish the legal personhood of the unborn child. Yay.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out today. And as I've said before, I think today is so important. I think the fact that we're all here is so critical, because there's a man that's employed by the hospital behind us that kills babies for a living at Planned Parenthood. And this is a Catholic hospital after all. But so many of the people I see here, I can't even count how many there are here, maybe even 100. Of you concerned citizens have taken of your time and your energy and your resources to come here and make a stand, because it's not just a Catholic issue. Of course, it's terrible that an abortionist would be employed by a Catholic hospital, but this is a community issue. This is terrible for the community. That the fact that there would be an abortionist delivering babies one day, killing them on the next, and that it would be covered up and just glossed over. So I'm excited to be here, and for the benefit of the media, we're here today because there's a new petition that's being launched today. There was a soft launch just in the community, and there was 1,500 signatures gathered so far just in the community. That's about 10% of the population. But now, as a national pro-life leader, I'm joining Lila Rose and others to say that we're taking this national. We're putting Durango on the map nationally as a symbol for what people should do in their community to get rid of abortionists in Catholic hospitals and hospitals everywhere. They shouldn't have privileges. They shouldn't make money killing babies one day and delivering them the next. It's terrible. So we're here to say, we're here to raise awareness with this petition so that the community will know what's going on. And have the community say, are they okay with having an abortionist deliver babies at this hospital with the Catholic name? Are they okay with that? Are they okay with not being told that this man profits from tearing children apart just down the street? Are they okay with that? So we're raising awareness here in Durango and the surrounding communities, and we're raising awareness nationally. And to say, you will not kill children with tranquility. So I'm glad everyone's here. It's an honor to be here, and I think together we're going to expose this wickedness. So.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Yes.
Our next speaker, I'm very excited to introduce to you. She's been doing undercover Planned Parenthood investigations for years now and has basically been bringing the organization black eyes ever since. So give a round of applause for Lila Rose of Black Eyes.
It's awesome to see all of you here today because I know we're standing together on behalf of our unborn brothers and sisters, on behalf of women, on behalf of our young women, our young people, and on behalf of our Christian faith, in defense of our Christian faith, and in defense of our Catholic faith specifically at this hospital, to say that we will not tolerate, we cannot tolerate the shedding of innocent blood, and any support, any demonstrated support for that shedding of innocent unborn blood. That's why we're all here this morning, this afternoon, that's why we're all standing together. I head up an organization primarily of young people, youth-led across the country, that is dedicated to leading our generation to stand up for life, but is also focused on researching, investigating, exposing the many abuses that happen every day in Planned Parenthood abortion clinics across our great country. Over 800 of these clinics across our nation, the biggest abortion chain in our country, committing over 300,000 abortions, almost over a fourth of all abortions in our nation. And that's exactly the chain that Dr. Grossman, Dr. Richard Grossman, works with. That's where he's working. That's within miles of this hospital, and that's part of the offense here, that we have an abortionist, a notorious abortionist, as part of one of the biggest abortion chains in our country, who is working at a Catholic hospital that's dedicated, that's ultimately built to protect and to nurture human life, but instead is housing what is antithetical to that mission, against that mission, hurting, harming, destroying innocent human life. Mother Teresa, who is that humble nun from Calcutta, who we all love, and she was honored with a Nobel Peace Prize, and she's spoken before presidents and before the United Nations. But she, whenever she had the opportunity, she had very strong words to say about abortion, and unequivocally she called abortion the greatest destroyer of peace. She said before a national prayer breakfast, before President Clinton and his wife over 10 years ago, that the greatest destroyer of peace in the world today is the cry of the innocent unborn child. Are we going to listen to that cry? Are we going to listen and heed her words? As she said, we cannot have peace in America or peace in our world if we allow for abortion. Are we going to allow for this in our nation? And are we going to allow for this near this hospital?
See what's under my hat.
Catholic teaching, let's remember exactly what Catholic teaching states about hospitals and the protection of innocent human life, our Catholic hospitals. I think it's important for us all to hear these words again. This is from the USCCB, the U.S. Council of Catholic Bishops, speaking and helping us understand our faith and how to live out our faith, including with regard to Catholic hospitals. And this is what it says from the USCCB. Catholic healthcare institutions are not to provide abortion services, even based upon the principle of material cooperation. In this context, this is very important to hear, Catholic healthcare institutions need to be concerned about the danger of scandal in association with any abortion providers. qualification with an abortion provider to be employing an abortionist, the notorious known abortionist who works at one of the biggest abortion chains in the country, at a Catholic hospital. That's why we're all here, and that's why we're standing up and saying, Mercy Hospitals, it's time to stop your employment, your allowing of Dr. Richard Grossman to work on your premises. When he down the street works at the abortion clinic, committing abortion after abortion of our completely defenseless, innocent, unborn brothers and sisters. Catholic teaching is very clear about collaborating in any way, supporting, even the appearance of support with abortionists. But it's very clear the appearance of support when they are actually allowing this doctor to run his practice, part of his practice, on an explicitly Catholic hospital. And that's why we're demanding that they cease the connection with this abortionist, and that any other hospital in our country that would have any connection to an abortionist would immediately cut that relationship for the sake of the unborn, for the protection of the unborn, and for the sake of the faithful. And then I want to speak briefly as a woman, as a young Catholic woman. It is an outrage, and I've talked to many of my Catholic sisters about this, who across the country are learning about this event in Durango, are learning about this hospital and its employment, its allowance of an abortionist, a known abortionist, to work on its premises. And Catholic women, young women, are outraged about this, because we don't want to go to a Catholic hospital expecting services, life-giving, life-promoting services, and to find that the OBGYN here delivering babies is the very one killing them down the street, committing what we think is the greatest human rights abuse that our country has ever encountered. And so together as women, we're all standing here saying, no, we do not want abortionists working at our Catholic or Christian hospitals. We will not tolerate this. We will not stand for this together. I also want to note that this is a national effort, that national leaders across the country are noticing what is happening in Durango. We see this as ground zero. If we can allow this in Durango or anywhere, we are not allowing justice and ultimately following our Catholic teaching in other parts of the nation. So what's happening here in Durango has taken the notice of Catholics across the country, of pro-life leaders across the country. Dr. Alveda King, the niece of Martin Luther King Jr., has said, and this is her message to us, she says, friends, your courage and humility in telling the truth is a blessing. March on, valiant soldiers. She's cheering for us. Many others across the country. Father Fessio from Ignatius Press, a well-known Catholic leader, is cheering for us. Judy Brown from American Life League is standing with us. Catholics and young people across the country are standing up for life against the employment or the support of abortionists with us. This is something that's bigger than Durango, although it's so important that the people of Durango stand together to speak out against this, to demand an end to this. But across the country, people are taking note, and the petition, which I am so proud to sign today, and many others will be signing, we're promoting it through our organization and other groups, together to say what's happening in Durango matters to all Catholics, matters to all people of faith across our country. It should matter to every person of faith, because if we allow our institutions that are meant to protect and nourish human life, that are built to protect and nourish human life, to employ or to promote or to allow abortionists committing the greatest human rights abuse to work and to make money on their premises, then we are doing what is antithetical to what that hospital was built to do. So together we'll stand and we'll commit to this. Keep in mind, Dr. Richard Grossman works at a Planned Parenthood abortion clinic. This is the most notorious chain of clinics, the biggest chain of clinics. We all are familiar with the many abuses, the sexual abuse cover-up of women, the harm that this organization is doing to women, to very young women, the willingness of Planned Parenthood to cooperate in even sexual trafficking of young girls. Our organization has documented this willingness through undercover investigative work. Planned Parenthood is an abusive, violent, and anti-woman organization, and Dr. Richard Grossman should not be trusted with our women, with our Catholic women, and especially not with our children. So it's my commitment to you to continue to push that petition across the country, and we will make a stand as Catholics and people of faith to not allow this any longer, and to ultimately fight to continue to protect our unborn brothers and sisters. It is the greatest fight we can do. Thank you so much for standing out here and saying this is done. God's will be done, and God is on our side in this fight.
All right, if the media has any